Hey, what's going on out there? We are the Turn2Terribles. I am Jimmy Barr. We're here with Chris Lynn and Josh Aaron. We are back, baby. We're back. We've been gone for a little bit. We had some life things going on. I had COVID for a while. We were gone for Memorial Day weekend, and that just bled through the week. But we're back. We're back, and we're fired up. We're ready to go. How you guys doing, man? How is life treating you guys? It's been a while.
Good, great. Lots of good racing lately. Lots of ton of stuff going on, racing everywhere. So, been good.
Right, for sure. Busy avoiding races and going to races. There's so many races, as Jimmy knows. We're surrounded by races at this point.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. It's that time of year where we're just tomorrow night there's a race. If the weather holds up, there's actually 2 races in the area on a Tuesday night. It's just insane. I love it. Let's get into talking about some of that racing. First, we're gonna go into NASCAR first. Yesterday, the Cup Series made their debut at Gateway, and it was a fantastic race. I think a lot of people were really happy with it. Absolutely packed crowd, sold out, lots of energy, great racing. It was hard to pass, but that doesn't mean that they weren't side by side and trying to pass. It was interesting. I don't know what you guys thought.
I mean, at one point they were 4 wide, and I mean, you
Yeah.
don't even see that in iRacing. You'll never see 4 wide at Gateway, but I mean, I think it was better than what anybody could have expected it was gonna be. It was neat. I mean, it's just neat seeing those cars run a track like that.
They put a lot of money in the facility too to really to bump it up, I guess, a little bit. There's still some upgrades that could probably be done there. I know they took a picture of the spotter stand. You could barely see the backstretch, but I think it was great. I think it's the 5th sellout, I think, for NASCAR this year, which is good because they weren't selling out races a couple of years ago. That's for sure. They were lucky to get half the grandstands full at a lot of these races. And they're really bringing them out. So I think it's a product of the car. The car this year is definitely putting on some of the best racing NASCAR has seen in years, and adds a lot of parity. And that being said, Joey Logano wins. He just seems to win everywhere where they go for the first time. But he was pretty good all weekend long. Hell of a battle with Kyle Busch in overtime. They were sliding back and forth, a lot of crosses. Just that type of racing, I did not expect that. Joey Logano even said it in his victory lane speech that he thought they would be just wrapped around the bottom the entire race. But there was a high groove, there was a middle groove, there was a slider line. It was like a dirt track out there. It was awesome.
Right, definitely. I think it helped, being a day race. Wasn't like crazy hot, but hot enough where the guys could move around. Even though the tires weren't really wearing, like the lanes kind of came in and gave you a chance to not be aero tight or anything behind the other guy. You kind of cut around them or dive low or enter a little bit higher. Different ways to keep the momentum up to get a run.
I think I love seeing all the videos and stuff. People taking everything out of the grandstand is in dead center of the turn. I think it's a cool different perspective from the fans' experience. I know they've got seating and stuff all along 1, but the majority of the grandstand being right there in the middle of 1 and 2, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. I know when we ran it last year in iRacing, in NSRL, we had a hell of a time keeping the cars underneath us, and I wasn't a huge fan of it. I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna work, but a real life thing. They had about a lot of the same problems we did, but they're infinitely better.
Yeah.
so they put on a much better show.
Right.
Real shocking news from Jimmy Barr.
Shocking news. I'm not as good
a
as
NASCAR Cup driver.
I am not a NASCAR Cup driver. That's for sure. You know who might not deserve to be a NASCAR driver? Probably Ross Chastain. No. At least that might be the opinion of some of his opponents this week, because a lot of people were in his path of destruction. I'll put it nicely. He got into a lot of run-ins there, and that was one of the most entertaining things of the race, I think. So first, early in the race, he was racing Denny Hamlin hard, drove him up the track, and then just got into his bumper and shoved him up into the wall. Just hard racing, but I mean, he shoved him. Broke a toe link on Hamlin's car. Basically, he was still able to run, but
Put him 3 laps down early. I mean, he ended his race early.
Wait, so can't we give Ross an award for that?
Right.
Or
he's
America's Hero Award.
Oh, come on. Nah, I think Denny gets a bad rap.
I think a lot of I think the first time that Denny ran him to the bottom when he was coming around, I was like, all right, you made your point. But then he just kept
went
doing
a little
it
overboard.
Every time they were getting close to each other. I was like, here we go. And I think at one point even the announcer was like, well, round 3. And it was just
right. But at one point though, if you're Ross Chastain, like, first time, all right, you deserve that at least. Maybe more, maybe less. The second, third time, if he's gonna do that, do it again. Get rid of him again like you did the first time. He's already broke. He's already pissed. You might as well finish what you started.
That's what I was hoping he'd do, is just turn him again and just end it for good.
Done with it.
Probably trying to make sure that he doesn't have that much more coming to him. I think.
Well, I think we know what's happening to him at some point down the road.
Probably. There was another incident later on with Chase Elliott where, honestly, man, I mean, I'm all for aggressive racing, and I'm not a Chase Elliott fan. I'm not even that big of a Denny. I like Denny Hamlin more than the average bear, I guess, but I'm not like a Denny Hamlin fan. But I don't know what he was doing when he turned Chase Elliott. He shoved him into the corner going into 3. They're all tight. It's off after a restart, and so he shoves Elliott in there where he gets tight and goes up the track, and then he tries to take it 3 wide and just tries to. There wasn't a hole there, and just absolutely turns Chase. And they're lucky it was in the front of about 3/4 of the field. Luckily, didn't get too much damage, and that a lot of cars didn't get wrecked because of it. But later on, you in the back, you have Chase Elliott starting, I believe, either inside or just in front of Chastain. And then Hamlin starting behind Chastain. So he got it from both ends. Elliott shoved him up the track. And then when he was up there up top, he was... Hamlin kept him up in the wall and then ran him all over the place. I do think Denny took it a little too far after that, because he was just brake checking him all over the track. But I think it goes back to a bigger point of some of the displeasure that a lot of drivers have voiced this year with Chastain and how aggressive he is. We all know how he won his first race at COTA. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on Chastain? How do you feel about his driving style?
I think he doesn't. Well, I think the thing with him is he doesn't have 3 other teammates out on the track. He doesn't have, they don't have the money that Hendrick's got. He's got to go win races. He can't worry about being nice to these guys and worrying about who, he doesn't have 3 other teammates to back him up and help him get around all these other cars. He's running, I mean, they've got, 2 cars, but they're night and day different right now in what they're doing. They're never together.
I think a little bit it goes back to Ross, how hard he had to fight to get to this opportunity, had to drive way over the top of everything, all these bad cars and things like that. And that now that he's in a good car, the COTA thing was absolutely because he wanted to get his first win.
They were battling hard for the win.
Right. So he went over the top there, but he's got to learn, though, this isn't going to make him live long as far as becoming a champion and things like that. I mean, it worked for Joey Logano once, but we know the other times when he probably had a championship car and got destroyed by Matt Kenseth by the same kind of stuff. He was locked in the playoffs. He's got to do something else. But I think a lot of it goes back to just where Ross, the way he came up.
I agree. I see. I could see that's how he's had to scratch and claw to get to where he is. But guy has 2 wins now this year. He has a fast car. I get what you're saying. He doesn't have all the teammates, but they're a top team. They're up there every week. Uh, they're out there competing for wins every week. So I just there's got to be a point where you're gonna get your actions are gonna have consequences, and I think it's starting to come to a head. I think Denny was frustrated for sure, but I think it's a boiling point over from weeks of racing against him and being raced overly aggressive. We've heard it from other drivers throughout the year.
Well,
Go ahead.
with Denny, I mean, he got a win, so that he's got that off of his chest now. But he was just mad at everything because he late in the race, Stenhouse wrecks Bubba Wallace, and Denny goes up and starts messing with Stenhouse and gets up into his bumper. I mean, Denny, he's got his 1 win, so the Denny Hamlin fans come back. Well, he's he's already got a win this year, but for the most part, Denny's been running 35th all year, throwing a fit about everything.
He's not had a good year.
I don't think he's been.
He's not had a good Denny Hamlin year.
It's been mechanical issues and stuff mostly.
Yeah.
They've been. I think what was one thing with Denny, they were running up right outside the top 5 when he got shoved up in the wall by Chastain, and I think part of it is, and what Denny now, he is one of the eldest drivers out there, and sometimes with the eldest drivers, they go and put these young guys in their place. I think that's part of what it was yesterday. It was, listen, you want to race hard, I get it, but you got to show some respect out on this track, and if not, this is what's going to happen to you.
Right, it was Kevin Harvick for a long time. Matt Kenseth, whenever he torpedoed Joey Logano, was that guy. He was that senior, respected guy. It's never roughed anyone up, really. And then I think that made that message stronger when Kenseth's side was, this is the guy that's never really messed with anyone, and you just got straight torpedoed. And I think ultimately, and everyone should use that. Like, Ross needs to look back at that and think about this come playoff time. He's locked in. He's fast enough to compete. Denny Hamlin is struggling throughout this year. If he has a bad early rounds, he could very well be knocked out, or he could get on a hot streak. Who knows? Toyota's figure something out. But
Toyota's definitely figured something out here lately. I think I get what you're saying, that Denny hasn't had a good year, but that whole Joe Gibbs camp, all those Toyotas,
you can't ever count them out. If they're still in contention, you can't.
They're all running in all Toyotas, even Bubba and especially Kurt Busch. They're running up in the top 15 every week now, the past month or so.
But Ross Chastain's made AJ Allmendinger and all of college racing his enemy beyond whatever happened in the Xfinity Series. They're not racing for a championship. Not Allmendinger. You have Denny, who hasn't shown it yet, but potentially could. You have Chase Elliott, who, if he touches him again, the whole fan base will turn on him. There's opportunity that if one of these guys they're not really in contention anymore and they see a golden ticket, they're going to really show how to crush a watermelon in a really bad time.
I do. I think he's got it coming to him. Ross, after the race, when he was being interviewed, he was really apologetic. He was like, "Man, I just couldn't stay off of people out there." He says he knows he's got more coming to him. He was apologetic. So I'm hoping this is a wake-up call to him, because he does have a lot of talent. He can be fast, but there are times you continue to race people like an asshole, you're going to get yourself put in a wall, and those wins that you got this year, while they're great to go look back on, if you're trying to win a championship, it's all going to mean nothing, because you're going to have guys not give you an inch. If you want the respect to get an inch, you better give them it, you know what I mean? And not drive over your head.
Right.
Just think that was part of it.
I think Josh touched on something a little bit ago, and it's kind of like a comparison. He doesn't have really any teammates, but if you look at Suarez, you don't hear from him all race. He has speed, just minds his business, and where he was running top 5 at the end of the race yesterday, had a really respectable day for qualifying 23rd. He's kind of playing the opposite of Ross. You don't really see him. He shows up, runs really fast, not getting his car tore up, and he's getting the results.
Yep.
It's only a matter of time that he wins. So I think it's kind of maybe Suarez needs to be a little more aggressive, and Ross needs to tone it down a notch.
They can probably meet in the
just
middle a little
mold,
bit there.
just
I mean,
mold.
Rotz still finished 8th yesterday, so
Yeah.
he still had a hell of
Right.
a car, even when, and like I said, Hamlin, yeah, he got his race ruined, but with contact, he never touched Ross. He just ran him all over the place. It was entertaining. I thought
Right.
it was.
Yeah.
I think it was great. Yeah, there was a point there where it was like, all right, dude, just let him go. But
I think it's going to be
I,
great.
I personally think Denny got his payback. I think if he goes and takes him out in a race, I think that's taking it pretty far. But I think he got his payback on him the way he said. I shouldn't say payback. He sent the message, and I think it was received loud and clear. Listening to Chastain talk.
I think what Denny Hamlin did was perfect because now what happens at the next time Chastain's ahead of Denny Hamlin for a lead? He's maybe not going to be focused on that line because I was like, oh shit, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Say you're at the Bristol night race and it's like, oh shit, here we go. So now he's already 3 steps ahead in the chess game, and you can kind of see it. I think that's kind of why Ross drove into Chase Elliott. He was so worried about what Denny was going to do, just overdrove the corner and hit Chase Elliott, and vice versa. Got himself in more bad situations, worried about what these other guys were going to do to him. So Ross got to figure that out.
Well, and I think too. I mean, this is all boiling up, and it's gonna keep boiling. Because I was looking at the schedule, and I was like, "All right, when's the next short track?" Because that's when you'll see it all. It'll all work itself out. But
You should go to Sonoma. Hell, Sonoma could go down.
Yeah,
Right.
Sonoma is a road course that drives like a short track sometimes, with all the bumping and banging.
Yeah, Josh, what's after that?
Sonoma, Nashville Super Speedway, Road America,
Ooh, Road America.
Atlanta, and then New Hampshire.
Oh yeah,
New Hampshire could be.
Yep.
New Hampshire's pretty similar to Gateway. It's flat, long straightaways, sweeping corners.
Once you get closer to playoffs, I mean, there's a lot of them. You got Martinsville coming back. You got Bristol. A lot of opportunity. If I'm a guy that made a lot of enemies, I'm not sleeping well going into those weekends.
I was also Denny also went after Ricky Stenhouse for turning Bubba Wallace. Happened right in front of him. Denny's pulled off to the side, running laps down, lets them go by, and sees Stenhouse just completely boot Bubba. And he goes up and they're buddies and everything, and he sent him the same message, like, dude, what are you doing? Like,
right.
I do think it's just part of that elder statesman coming out, being like, listen, you want to race hard, that's all good, but there's a point, where you got to start showing some respect, and if that stuff's happening the last 10 laps of the race, then he's mad, but one, he doesn't get the opportunity to probably pay him back or anything. But I was going somewhere with that. It would be different if it was in the last 10 laps of the race instead of the first 50.
Right.
And I think the piggyback on what he's saying, they go back to the Dale Jr. download, I think, last week with Denny Hamlin talking about when Dale Jr. was like, will you stop giving a fuck? That's whenever you know your career is ending. Like, Denny Hamlin's on that point. He goes, you know what? I'm done. I don't really care what you do. He goes, I'm starting to not care. Say what I want. And you see it more and more in his personality, where he's just saying whatever he wants. Controversy be damned. And at this point, that's like, hey, maybe he just knows.
I also think he's very invested in being a car owner now. He's really, I think that's part of it, where he's starting to look more at that. And, again, like, his car gets spun and he goes and says, hey, what are you spinning my car for?
For 29th or 30th, he said, right? 30th, you're running 30th. What are you doing?
Yeah. That's a tough track. The Stenhouse thing, like the Stenhouse thing and both Chastain directs, I do think it was them just being a little overly aggressive, but I don't think it was so egregious where they're just taking them out. I just think that they were completely misjudging where they were on the track and being too aggressive instead of just letting that corner go and getting them at the next one.
Yep.
Any more thoughts on the Cup race from this past weekend?
No, it was a great race. I haven't looked at Jeff Gluck on Twitter to see, but I'm sure this has got to be like.
I saw it was about 85% or so, I think, last time I saw it.
Yeah.
So, I was pretty happy with it. I do think it was a little frustrating seeing the track position was very important. I think it was very, some guys were able to pass, but there's a lot of cars that just ran where they started. They were racing hard, but passes were at a minimum to an extent.
Yeah.
Outside of restarts. So
I think it's just like any short track, though. You're gonna
yeah.
have that. It doesn't. Not every race has to be side by side fender banging. You had the opportunity to pass if you set it up properly. I think that's all we can ask. Unlike Phoenix, where you couldn't because the speeds were too high and whatever, you kind of got trapped behind them. It was a little bit better than that, and you could set a guy up and figure out a way around him. And for reference, it's 83% yes on the Gluck poll at 21,300 some votes.
Good. I think it was a major success, and I'm glad to see some new tracks that are racy. That coming on the schedule here. Pretty exciting to see. I do want to say, I already touched upon it, but I do want to reiterate, Toyota's coming on. Gibbs, and I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago when Kirk got his win, but they're really coming on now. Kyle Busch is starting to look like yesterday was running up there, battling, looking like the Kyle Busch of old when beginning of the season where just a couple of weeks ago we're like, dude, this guy's going to retire. He's not going to have he keeps running like that. I do think Toyota, those all, is finally figured some of the stuff out. And surprisingly enough, Hendrick struggled by their standards, even though they were all right around the top 10.
I mean, it's no... Go ahead.
I just want also one more shout out. AJ Allmendinger, who went from last, finished 10th. Shouts out to him.
That was... I'm officially a fan of that track. Because that race last year was a really good race. And that was a really good race. I enjoyed watching that race. It was neat because, was it 1, 2, and 3, the little bus stop section there? But when it was raining early, they were having to go so slow through it. Some people were just taking the penalty because it was faster than going through the turns. They just go straight, take the penalty, then take off. It was neat. I enjoyed that race.
The Xfinity race, yeah.
Portland, Allmendinger.
Yep.
Yeah, Allmendinger with the win there, and then he starts last and finishes 10th in the Cup race. But basically, what we're gonna go into here, Portland. It started off rainy. I had a blast watching. It was getting a little towards the end. To me, it was kind of like, all right, guys, like there's too much wrecking at the end. They just were not giving a shit going into one. But like you said, it was faster sometimes because of how slow it was with the rain to just take your stop and go penalty and cut the entire chicane. One thing that interesting happened in that race was Ty Gibbs in the lead after the first stage break. He absolutely he was killing the competition. He was out by like 18 seconds. He lapped AJ Allmendinger at one point. When it was rainy, he was gone. But after the stage break, Jesse Iwuji just ran him over. He actually got a 5-lap hold.
Yep.
On pit road, NASCAR penalized him. Iwuji says, I thought he was going to give me the room to go because I guess he was supposed to get waved around him or whatever, but he just absolutely, they're under caution behind the pace car, and he just takes out the leader. Kind of Jesse Iwuji in a nutshell. No offense to him, but
no, definitely offense. Love his service, but come on, man. It's every week. It's every week with him.
Yeah, I mean, that's just boneheaded. He's like, oh, I thought I had. What lane did you have, dude? Like, you guys are. He's at the rumble strip going into one. What lane do you have on the inside of him? Like, that was interesting, and it almost cost. I mean, it did cost Ty Gibbs the race a little bit, even though he went back out, raced pretty well. Second stage, I can't remember exactly what happened to him other than I think he got off track one time.
He got Noah Gragson got on the inside of him and ran him up, and they got door to door. 2 turns later, he turned Noah Gragson,
Yep.
And then like a turn after that, whoever was behind them got tired of watching it all and just wanted to go around them and turned him. Um,
I do
Creed.
remember
It
him
was
getting
Creed. Creed turned
Sheldon
him.
Creed too. Sheldon Creed giving the double bird salute too when after he.
But he
Man,
did
I
one of
don't.
the most bonehead things. But in the interview,
He
he said that he was looking right to look at the cars, but he got mad at the guy that got into him when everybody got into it going into one. But
yeah.
he ran into the back of a parked car doing their stop and go and killed his day.
Yeah. And then he has the audacity, and I kind of get it. You're trying to get back to pit road. Brian Pressler covered in the comments that kind of caught my eye. My daughter just turned you guys on. She is curious why Josh Aaron left DraftKings. You got some explaining.
you got on the spot, Josh Aaron.
Just wait, I'm leaving more than DraftKings.
Spicy.
That's a real terrible thing to do. The brand.
DKR up at Smoke Racing. She's asking. Hey, shouts out to your daughter, Brian Pressler. Thank you for watching. Thank you for chiming in. That was good. More from Portland though. What was I talking about before that? Okay. Oh, the Sheldon Creed wreck.
Yeah.
So he's dropping fluid on he can't even see out of his windshield. He's got to know he's dropping fluid all over the track. He continues to drive. That cost like 5 laps under caution to clean that up. Absolutely killed just the momentum of the race at that time, because then it was just caution. Like, I think there was one caution before that, then that was another one because of the restart, and then it just turned into it turned into Caution City, which I still don't understand how AJ Allmendinger won. AJ Allmendinger, under the pace lap to start the race,
yeah, before the race started,
before the race even started, he goes off track. Then he goes off track again after the start. Gets lapped by Ty Gibbs, who's absolutely slapping the field's ass. He somehow comes back and wins this race. He is. I know he's a great road course racer, but it was incredible. I was really impressed.
It was one of those that when it was all over, nobody, like even the announcers were like, "How did that just happen?" Like,
yeah,
I mean, it just happened, and you're like, "How?"
It helped a lot. A lot of people in front of him took themselves out,
right,
or got into something. There was a lot of good cars that got tore up at the end there. Sheldon Creed was one of them. Sheldon Creed was running up there most of the time. A couple others, Noah Gregson, Ty Gibbs, obviously, and a couple others, but even I think JJ, was it JJ Yelly, or there was another road.
Yeah, JJ Yeley, he finished in like 8th, but he was up there for.
Andy Lowley, he was leading for a little bit.
Right.
Like,
he was leading in the Tommy Joe car, or
yeah,
Alpha, whatever they call it.
So that was
took
cool.
The lead. I saw on Twitter he took the lead on lap 44. It's pretty much magic.
There was one stat they were talking about, and it was early in the race when Ty Gibbs was just. It looked like Ty Gibbs was just going to run away with that race from about lap 2. You're like, well, Ty Gibbs has won this thing. But they said one stat before he got wrecked and all, the chaos ensued. But Ty Gibbs had ran 8 career road course races, and he's led every lap except for 1.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's
animal.
They need him. They need to get him the cup ASAP.
I think
he can have the one car.
It'll have the reputation that he's gonna have. So
we're starting to see that uptick from Toyota. I'm sure a good chunk of it is the team, but it might be the drivers with the fire under their ass.
Yep.
I think he's taking over the 19. I think that's what's going to happen, because Martin Truex kind of
starting to see more smoke there.
Yeah, he made a pretty weird comment that kind of, from what I was seeing online, it sounds like he's looking at retirement at the end of the year.
Right.
So,
I saw that too. It's kind of the same. Like maybe there's a little more smoke there than we originally thought. And
yeah.
I mean, Hamlin, obviously if he leaves, not a big deal. He go run for his own team or retire.
He said on Dale Jr. download though,
Right.
he's not. He's finishing in that 11 car with FedEx. If one of the two fail, I'm retiring and I'm just gonna go be a car owner. He's not gonna.
Well, he said he'd run for his own team because you never know how things change. But he's not actively seeking to leave Gibbs to go there. So even still, he's safe, right? Kyle Busch sounds like they're nearing a sponsor. Toyota made it pretty clear not to lose Kyle Busch at all costs.
Yeah.
That only leaves 2 more seats. Christopher Bell,
but he's signed.
Right, he's not gonna leave.
It's Martin Truex.
Kurt Busch leaving.
I think the writing's on the wall. It's Truex's ride. He's gonna take that.
Even Kurt Busch not deciding to step away. He's not. He's older.
Nah, he's not going. He's not gonna go to 2311. He's gonna go to Gibbs. There's no way he goes to a satellite team, grandson of the owner. There's just no way.
Well,
and
maybe Ty Dillon did.
I think you're onto something too. Is like there's. I think you're right. I think Joe Gibbs Racing has lit a fire under these guys because, I mean, they have a huge backlog problem because we'll talk about it here in a minute. But you get down to trucks, they are dominating trucks, and they've got to get some of those guys up into Xfinity, but there's nowhere for them to go.
Yep. So they got to get Ty Gibbs out of there, and he's, you want to talk aggressive and guy who's probably gonna bro, no chat. Ty Gibbs has, or Ross Chastain has nothing on Ty Gibbs.
I can't wait to hear people cry. If this is the reaction you get from Ross Chastain doing that, you give it a year. Give it a year.
And it's just funny because, with Ty Gibbs, he will wreck somebody and then he'll be like, all praise Jesus, all thanks to God. And he's just like, thank you, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. But it's just I just find that always so ironic with him.
I think it's why it's funny too with Chastain. This is the first time I think this weekend where he's actually acknowledged that he drove like a tool. Every other time he's just like, yeah, man, I'm going for a win. Sorry.
Yeah.
Tough shit. Right. And this time he's like, so it's like not quite the same, but very similar. Like, you know what? Yeah, I just knocked you into the wall. I don't care.
Yep.
Sorry.
A couple other quick points from Portland. I love rain races in these cars. I think that was the perfect amount of rain. The track dried up. There was strategy at the end. Some guys stayed on wet. Some guys stayed on slicks. Or a lot of guys switched over to slicks.
I think JJ Yaley was the highest finishing driver on slicks. I'm pretty sure because there was, the cool thing that was happening is like part of the track was drier than the other, so he would be super fast on the backside where it was dry, but then they'd get to the wet side and everybody'd make it up on him.
Yep. Anthony Alfredo was another one, I think. No, Jade Buford was one that was up there with. He was like one of the only guys with wet tires still on. It got too much. They went and put on slicks, and then it ended up raining like the last 10 laps because of all the cautions that delayed it. So then everybody went in and put wet tires back on. But I thought it was fun. I like the way that they did. Since they weren't in the same facility as the Cup guys, they had limited crew members. So the way that they do their stage breaks and pit stops, I think that's cool. It helps even up the field. You don't really lose any. I understand it takes some pit strategy away slightly, but when you have a road course where there's rain, there's enough pit strategy there where it doesn't matter if the field's locked because you could do a lot of different things. So I thought that was really cool.
I agree.
And I wanted to give a shout out to Anthony Alfredo. He started on the pole. He was running pretty decent and unfortunately got caught up in some mess towards the end, but he was running good in that car most of the day.
Yeah, he was just always there. Like you'd see people come and go and see people, pop in and pop out, but he was always up there.
Yeah,
somewhere fairly close.
Him, Sheldon Creed, Austin Hill, those guys were there all race long, and they just didn't get the finishes. I think Austin Hill finished second, but Sheldon Creed obviously wrecked out. Anthony Alfredo wrecked out. There was a guy too who made his Xfinity. I can't remember his name. He drove the 18 car, though. He's only been racing like 5 years, and he was up in the top 5 for a good chunk of the race.
Oh, Connor Mozak.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Was he the gym teacher?
No, that was a different guy.
That was because he ended up running top. After they got done talking about him, he was running top 5, and they're like, "Oh wait, how'd that happen?"
Yeah, yeah, that was cool. That Mozak guy, I think he's like 24. He only started racing when he was like 18, 19, and he never raced a stock car before. He ran, I think he ran like, I don't know, some type of road cars.
Huh.
And he was up there competing, especially in the beginning. You know, he was battling Ty Gibbs at one point after one restart. It was an interesting race. I really enjoyed it. I'm kind of hoping that the Cup cars go there because I think that's a pretty cool track. Yeah, and the thing is it's Portland. It's rainy up there, rainy Northwest. You're gonna have a lot of races like that where it's gonna be rainy, and I think I enjoy it. I think it's cool.
I hope NASCAR gets a rain tire for these new cars. I hope they get something figured out because there's a lot of tracks like that they just won't even look at for that reason, for the Cup side. But that place puts on a great race.
Yeah, I think it's the perfect size road course for a stock car. It's a little less than 2 miles. The laps aren't extremely long. Yep. It has some tight corners, some longer straightaways. It's just it's a stock car type of road course. I enjoyed it. Go to truck here. Corey, we're kind of already alluded to it earlier. Corey Heim gets a win. That's his second. I didn't believe it when I read it today. That's his second win in his first 12 starts. I didn't. Wow. I thought he has more starts than that. But,
right.
Another Kyle Busch Motorsports, Toyota guy. I think the top 5. I have to look. I think the top 5
all Toyotas.
Was all Toyotas.
7 out of the top 10 all Toyotas. 9 out of the top 15.
Corey Heim and Christian Eckes were putting on a hell of a show. Christian Eckes was probably the best truck, but got bit by that last restart in overtime. Chandler Smith made his way back from, I think he got spun at one point. He had to go all the way to the back. He was definitely probably one of the fastest trucks as well. Another Kyle Busch Motorsports truck. They got some talent there, and it's from some of the young guys like Corey Heim and Chandler Smith, and there's another guy, John Hunter Nemechek.
Mm-hmm.
2 guys that are a little more seasoned, even like Ben Rhodes. There's a lot of guys out there that are looking to move up, probably next season. So I think you're gonna see a lot of shakeups,
Yep.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I think that there's a lot. I think the pool of talent is underneath of NASCAR. It's huge, and I mean I'm not gonna say all of these guys, but a majority of these guys could be running Cup right now, but they're not even in Xfinity because Xfinity guys have nowhere to go.
Yep.
And I think I think we're probably 2-3 years from seeing the big shift where a lot of these older guys come in and a lot of these Xfinity guys finally get their shots, and a lot of these truck guys are going to go up and start dominating Xfinity.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought there, how much does the charter system? Like, I know the charter system helps teams, but like in the older days, like if you didn't have a charter, maybe it wouldn't be the best team, but you could still run in Cup if you were talented enough. Like if you were a John Hunter Nemechek, you had some backing, you could go, maybe not the full schedule, but you could run off and go up there and mix it up in the 90s and early 2000s. That's not really an option anymore. The way the charter set up, you need to be in one of those organizations like a colleague. They have their charter. They're just R&Ding that car with Allmendinger and whoever, Cosgrala and things like that. It's like, if you didn't have the charter system, you might have a bigger field. Now, from the financial side, I don't know if that's smart business, but from a driver's side, that's got to be hindering your growth a little bit.
Well, you don't need a charter to enter a race,
right? But if you're a race car team trying to find an unproven driver, would you go to a race that you weren't guaranteed to start?
Absolutely
From a business
not.
side,
But I don't
right?
think,
So it's
I don't
kind of
think the charter would have anything to do with that.
right. Well, I mean, in
What
the
if it
money,
wasn't
it's
like-
just a thought.
Yeah, yeah. Like if there wasn't,
if you had 4 spots versus 40 spots, like in the old days, you have the top 38, 37 on speed were in, and then you had 5 provisionals or 4 provisionals and the past champion. It's a hell of a lot easier to get a really good car for once a month to maybe be the top 37 versus be one of 4 cars up to go home in the 50 car field. Like it's a tighter thing, which is good for the full-time teams. Don't get me wrong. It's just a devil's advocate a little bit.
Yeah.
For these drivers.
I mean, you need to come with, if you're making the moves, you got to come with backing. It's very rare. Ross Chastain might be one of them, where they're coming up without any backing behind.
But even then, they have some.
And they have some backing, but they don't have there's some guys out here that have sponsors attached to them,
right?
And they come with them throughout.
I think an example to your point, someone like Ty Gibbs, we want to see him running Cup. Why not do some Cup starts? He could run a third 2311 car if they weren't fighting for one of 4 spots. That's a big risk to prep a whole car for whatever to see a car like that. That'd be the example.
I mean, I think wasn't there a car that went home for Daytona?
Chase. Yeah, I'm sure.
I could be wrong.
I mean, I think
no, there's 2 cars that went home for Daytona. So
right.
I mean,
but why though? Is what I'm saying. Like, why do that to yourself if you're already struggling? It gets just a thought. Like, look at Chase Elliott at Darlington. He got sent home in the Xfinity race because of rain.
Mm-hmm.
That happens, right? But if there's no incentive for a 2311 to have a 46 car out there for one weekend, even though Ty Gibbs has the backing from Toyota and Monster, and at least a decent backing from Monster, to go run a car at some track that he's going to have to go to and kind of see where he measures up. I mean, I think they should, even unsponsored, go see where he measures up. I think he'd make it, but it would be an outlet for guys to put their own deals together to get up through there and try.
Yeah,
I think you still have that now, though.
Right, to some degree.
Yeah, it's just not as prevalent as it was years ago.
And
I know
the rides aren't as competitive. Go ahead, Josh.
It was just brought up on the Dale Jr. download. How long do you think until Junior Motorsports has a Cup team?
I don't know.
I think they talked about it. They said the money has to be right, and I think Denny Hamlin had a lot of good points on there. Like and I think that kind of speaks where the charter is good for security, but until you aren't sponsor reliant, none of it really matters. Until a guy like if Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan can't put a competitive team out there without corporate backing, we got a problem. That money that they're winning has to go back into the teams, not necessarily the racetracks. Not all of it anyway, not that percentage of it. And until they write that, this is going to be a problem. If you can get it to where, I think he used the analogy, if you told me I could buy this race team, run out the whole schedule, and not lose money, that's a hell of a deal. And that would just come by winnings and performance. That's kind of a probably unrealistic bar, but if you're thinking at it, if you don't need a $35 million sponsorship, maybe a guy that is got mostly no backing could get there quicker. We don't have guys like Ouija or whoever, Cody Ware.
Yeah.
All these kind of guys are in the field. They not that they're bad drivers, but they're not ready. They just have the money to get there.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. The whole landscape of that is muddy. It's too expensive now.
Right.
For a lot of people to want to go. You get a lot of these sponsors, which is good. There's a lot more dipping their toes into the pool.
Right.
But there's, how many like Denny Hamlin's one of the last ones where you have a sponsor on that car all year.
You see a FedEx car, you know who it is.
Yeah, like you don't have the days of a sponsor being completely in the water with the driver in a car, and funding it basically for an entire season are gone. It's your but it's good because you still are bringing in a plethora of other sponsorships, even if it is just part-time deals on part-time deals. It makes it diverse and it makes it a I don't want to say successful business model because you can go out and you could just be like, you could go talk to, instead of trying to find that one big fish that's gonna anchor your team, you could go out and talk to 15 sponsors and say, hey, I'm asking for this much for like 3 races. A little bit more work, but you probably can get more that way.
I was in a conversation last night, and this kind of ties together. Think about the 2000s and 90s. Sure, sponsorship was cheaper, right? But how much those sponsors did with activation, like the commercials. There's so many, even Nextel, when they were sponsoring NASCAR, they got the most bang for their dollar. Part of it was because they were on the car every week, so you was so recognizable. You see a driver's suit, you know who it is. You see the car, you knew who it was, you knew the brand. Like Miller Lite, you knew it was Rusty Wallace for forever, right? Now it's like, one Miller Lite's not even there.
Now you have sponsors. You have sponsors bouncing from car to car within an organization.
Right. And it's like, what is going on? And they're not doing any. There's no ad campaigns really. Like the closest we had was Denny Hamlin's goofy like pajamas one with dominoes and things like that.
Yep.
And I don't understand from a marketing side, if you're gonna dump that much money into it and you're putting it all on the racetrack, based on how these broadcasts are, why would you do that? Like you better be activating at the track. When I was at Martinsville this year, you didn't see like any sponsor activations. You saw Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series. You had iRacing Sim Rigs. That was the sponsor activation at the track. That, at least as far as general fans could go to. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, it was so much different than going to Pocono or Charlotte in 05 or in 03, where like you had Chevy with their Monte Carlo tents and everything. I guess we had Chevy there too, but it was
I was gonna say Chevy still does that,
right? But
Chevy and Ford, I think they still do that.
So
but
much stuff
that's
going
manufacturers,
right? They have no choice, and that's easy for them. If I'm putting my name on the card, if I'm like, I don't know what Moose's whatever is on Chastain's car is. Like I remember seeing that review. I don't know what the hell it is. Come to the racetrack, get some, like, do more than just slap your name on the car, because that's not going to work anymore.
I wouldn't say you don't see it at all, though. I think the first thing I think of, and it's a little bit different, but it's an example of a sponsor going all in. Think about NOS Energy Drink. They're it's for the Outlaws, but like even they sponsor a bunch of Stenhouse's cars, and when that car's at the racetrack or you go to a World of Outlaw events, they're giving you out NOS Energy Drink. You're going
there, exactly.
You know what I mean? They're there. They're pushing the brand. They're trying to get you to become a fan of the brand.
And that's 100% what they should be doing.
Yeah, and I am 100% with you. You see a lot less than that than you used to, but it's still there. It's still there.
Right,
I think marketing in this day and age of social media is so much different that all these companies are gonna try to do something cheaper, and sending people all over the country to tracks to give out free products or free samples isn't exactly
not cost efficient, but it's also lowering the value. Efficient
when you could just have a viral ad on Twitter,
right? Absolutely. What I mean? But if you're already paying, say, X amount of $1 million to be on a car, then you should go capitalize on that and get to the racetrack and really go all in on it. Like, how many little Debbie's Ken Schraders did you see in the damn grocery store? Like, like, do more. I'm not saying even go to the track. Just do more. Do little things like that.
Connect with it. But I do think it's hard because they don't have they aren't all in on a full season. So why go and put all that in?
Right.
I get
agree.
it.
Yeah,
I get
and to that
both
point-
sides.
To that point too, when was the last time you saw like a NASCAR booth set up at like a Lowe's with a car out there,
Yes.
or like a Home Depot,
Right.
or
Man,
a
when-
Love's truck stop, or
Man,
World of
Punk-
Outlaws are just now starting to get back to that, and it's
Yes.
great. Like I remember Shoehart was down at the
At
Rudder
Rudders.
like
He comes
20
to Rudders whenever they come back to town.
just from Lincoln. It's like it's there for like an hour. That's just like, why were you there for an hour? It's like, oh, because or like shout out to like Jordan Gibler and Dakota Kuhn from our iRacing guys. They were at State Farm, one of their sponsors. I went there to see them just there for brand activation for State Farm. I should have wore the hat to make him real happy, but just like things that are cool. Like if you're driving down the road and you think, oh, there's a damn sprint car. As a kid, that's gonna be cool. And like,
Yeah, you don't see that, dude. I met one of the best days of my life was I got to meet Bill Elliott, at a McDonald's in my hometown in Hazleton. A McDonald's that I ended up working at when I was a couple years older in high school.
just because you
And
met Bill Elliott there, you wanted to.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly why I wanted to work there. I had the best member. Dude, he was just sitting in a booth in McDonald's. The car was outside. When NASCAR would come back to Pocono, you would see show cars all over the place in the area where you could just go take pictures with the cars. Drivers would be there. And that was still... Actually, shouts out to that. I found this today. My Bill Elliott fan club from 1994 member. But yeah, like that. Honestly, I wanted to work at that McDonald's because I met Bill Elliott there, and I'm like,
Right.
that's kind of weird, but
it's not that
it was
weird.
also the McDonald's in my town too, and I needed a job. But
you didn't drive 2 hours for this McDonald's?
Yeah.
No.
Don't worry.
And it
was
wasn't-
right down the street.
it wasn't like McDonald's was my dream job or anything. Don't get me wrong, but it was.
I mean,
There's
some days I wish I could go back to a McDonald's and just work there.
Well,
Be honest.
last year. Do you remember that sponsor that Parker Kligerman ran a couple times? It was Fast. They'd have the black card and just say Fast on it, but it'd have the QR codes.
Right.
It was fast.com, and they did such a cool thing. I got 2 of them, but if you were watching TV and you scan the QR code, you'd get a $1 hoodie off their website.
That's the exact activation I'm talking about, right
Yeah.
there.
And I
Get
mean,
them
they-
involved in the
Some
race.
creativeness. You are starting to see some creativeness.
That's what they
for
need
sure.
to do is, if they're gonna, they need to, go full on into the social media thing and do where like you go onto TikTok or whatever and scan the QR code on the car, and then it's like, congratulations, you get a $1 hoodie.
And that's kind of going back to my thing where I think maybe you do see maybe a little less of the stuff that you used to see back in the 90s and early 2000s because it all is social media driven. It's cheaper in a sense it's cheaper to advertise, but then you could do things like that.
Right.
Where people are
That's
they
kind of
have
how
it
Busch Light does their whole
instead-
promos.
instead of having to go to a tent at a track and go and get the sample, which is still cool. You could do something like what Josh just said, and it's in the palm of your hand instantly.
Right.
So
Right. Just do
there's a
something.
lot of different ways to do it.
Like,
But
my
yeah,
point was
exactly.
Just do something. Like, don't
Yes.
just be complaining that you have to pay $5 million a race
Yeah.
for a car we can't even recognize. Like, how many times has Blaney had a different sponsor? I don't know what the hell the car is.
I
If it's
know.
not Menards, I don't know what the hell the red is on the front. I know Body Armor is part. Like, that's not good for them. I mean, like, I don't know. And
It's crazy. You have
maybe
like
maybe it's Cindric's car. Who knows?
you have
Like-
you have a sponsor like DeWalt, and it's bouncing around Joe Gibbs cars. Like DeWalt can't even get like a cardboard cutout of a driver holding one of their tools in a freaking Lowe's because it switches drivers constantly.
Like, how much of that is because like that we need someone smarter than us to do that, but like that just means they're not tied to a driver; they're tied to the organization, and that's kind of on Joe Gibbs. Like, just let them, and maybe DeWalt too. We don't know what goes on. But like, dude, like, all right, you're on the 20 car, deal with it.
Mhm.
Christopher Bell's your guy. Maybe that's what. Like, I don't know. They always say it's not good business, but part of that is like that. Like, what the hell was Reese's? That was on Truex's car yesterday.
It's a food mart.
I know what it
think.
is,
Yeah.
but it's more like.
I didn't know what it was. I was like, I have no idea
Well,
what it is.
I know we used to sell it. It's from New York, I believe, because we used to sell it in my store, like their packaged stuff.
I know they make like potato salad and shit.
Right, and but it used to be the kind of stuff on like random cars. Like Truex has an established. He's either in what automotive, Bass Pro, or the
Bass
automotive,
Pro
or whatever that other thing is. But yeah, it's usually the Bass Pro cars. Like, why ruin that chop it with this whatever the hell car.
But Bass
It's
Pro
just a me
is
thing.
also
Me
it's
thing.
also on Ty Dillon's car half the year too.
Right, which pisses me off too. But
So I mean,
I
these are the
think
things.
that's a brand still getting involved in the sport, just spreading the love, I guess.
Right,
like
which I
what-
get, which is smart on their part, I guess. But for me, it makes me mad.
I think that's some
traditionalist.
of it. It's on the owners too. You know, I like what Trackhouse is doing. Trackhouse is going out, and you can really tell they're putting in a lot of thought into who they want their sponsors to be. They're not taking everybody. They're taking who
Yeah.
they want their sponsor to be.
And they're different.
Yep. And it's
They're
well,
big.
their
And
sponsors
the cars are different, and everything's different.
Yep,
It's awesome.
their sponsors are younger. You know,
Mhm.
they're going after a very specific target audience. They're trying to get the younger people. They got cool ass cars.
Mm-hmm.
You got fast
100%.
cars.
I think they are partially the future of NASCAR. They are a mid team that can jump up and, you know, maybe in a couple years, if they keep this up and keep running it in the right direction, they could be up there with a Gibbs and a Hendrick consistently.
Yep.
And, you know, being one of those teams that are competing for a championship. I mean, they are this year. You know, they could be named in the same breath as those guys, though. I mean, we're already kind of, like I said, we're already kind of starting to talk about it because of how innovative they have been and everything. But Aiden Beerline out here said Jimmy being a McDonald's worker just doesn't sound right. Yeah, I know.
Because Mr. Smooth wouldn't ever.
I used to always pop nuggets. And I used to work the grill. I used to always have to work the morning shift, 4 o'clock in the morning, or I had to work the night shift and close at like. I was always the reason why the milkshake machine was broken because I was always cleaning it. So.
Way to be a guy.
So yeah, it was a high school job. All right, let's just wrap up the truck race here. Rajah Caruth, first ever Cup truck start, got 11th place finish. I saw somewhere else where he was 10th. I'm not sure, but but
yeah, let's say officially 11th. It looks like.
Yeah, officially 11th. Good day for him. I know he had a spin at one point.
One of the
very impressive debut.
One of the greatest saves I've ever seen. Where where he missed that wreck high and just never hit the wall?
If he didn't spin, he's probably running in to the wrecked car. You know, so he spun it and didn't hit anything. It was impressive. So he's a young kid. I think he's like 18.
Yeah, I think so. He's super young.
There was a couple drivers in that truck race that were making their debuts. One of them was 17. Another one was 19. There were some really young guys in there, but definitely the cream of the crop was Rajah. And a good car. That 7 car is basically Hendrick affiliated.
Yep.
So it's good. So I mean, hey, there's another Chevy guy potentially coming up through the ranks there.
I'm not a fan. I think, you know, I don't think there's a whole lot of talent there, but this has probably been one of the best races of the year for Haley Deegan. Started 26th, finished 15th, actually finished, didn't get wrecked down. I know a lot of this.
Her and Friesen got into it, though.
Yeah, her and Friesen got into it.
You leave Haley Deegan alone.
Fuck. She needs to.
She's got to finish more.
Yeah, she's got to pick it up.
They're not her fault, but she's just got to learn to put herself in better positions.
Exactly. She's putting herself in those situations by not being fast enough to be up front to avoid it.
Yep.
Is it the truck? I mean, you go and look at her teammates. Zane Smith's her teammate, right?
I
don't think
that's
so. No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But I mean, what other Fords are out there?
3 in the top 30.
Tanner and Taylor Gray.
Yeah, 3 in the top 30.
There's literally only 4 Fords.
I believe they're all on the same team. Is it all DJR?
Haley Deegan, Tanner Gray, and then Taylor Gray, which I think that was one of his first. One of the 2 Grays was real young.
Yeah, you might be right, Chris. It is DJR. I think it is.
DJR. Front row isn't there. It's DJR now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think they are all actually teammates.
I thought 38 was still DGR or front row.
Maybe
the other one was DGR.
I'm sure they're connected in some way.
But regardless, apparently,
the way I'm looking at this is don't buy an F-150.
Yeah, really. I mean, the Tundra's the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, Toyota's just absolutely. This has turned into I mean, they just need to sponsor the Toyota Camping World Series.
Yeah. Zane Smith. Do want to give him a shout out. He got a top 10 finish. He was pretty fast. Didn't really have the cleanest race, but not a bad race either. Chris Buescher had COVID. He ran for Chris Buescher. He finished 17th. Actually pretty impressive. He stayed clean the entire race. I think he's a guy that you see probably he bumps up to something next year. He's dominating the Truck Series to an extent. I mean, he has 3 wins. He's the only, and he's up there competing. He probably could have a couple more. Just didn't have the lucks in some of them.
I had to look it up because I hadn't heard anything, and there's still technically, I guess, nothing. But Carson Hocevar, might have broke his ankle, got his foot stuck, got hit in a wreck, and frame bent around his foot, but he hasn't released anything on what the results are. But
I saw the video going around of that, and a lot of people complaining that the safety crew was too long to get there. I don't agree with any of that. He had his window net down, which is the universal sign that, hey, I'm okay. They had 3 other cars wrecked that they were checking on. You could see Hocevar moving around. So they went over. It was about 30 seconds or so after, and then they were like, "Oh, okay. What were you gonna do?" It's not like he was dying. If it was,
he was. I heard the radio. Like, if you heard the radio of him, like sitting there, like he was panicking a little bit, which I'm sure anybody would, because you're stuck. You're sitting in the middle of the racetrack.
Me with a broken ankle,
right?
Like, fucking help me.
he couldn't get out. He was the only one sitting in the middle of the racetrack. Everybody else was down around the apron. But I didn't think they had a lot to do there. I mean,
right. Then 100%. He's still on the track. They're sitting in the grass. His window nut's down, so he's capable of doing that.
They weren't like rushing to him. Don't get me wrong, but
right, they didn't rush.
There was no need.
Yep.
Right, I'm with you. I mean, they got there as soon as you could still hear trucks coming through.
Yeah.
Like
they were just coming after the checkered flag, still barreling through,
right.
And they were all out there on the track already.
They naturally went to the people not on the racetrack first, in my opinion.
Yes.
And his window nut's out. If his window nut's still up, that changes things, I think, a little bit. But that's not the case.
I agree. Yeah, I thought it was unfair. I saw a lot of bashing on Twitter about the track crew. I'm like, man, like, you guys don't understand.
Right.
You'd want them to be there 2 seconds after. It's just not possible all the time. And they were there. He was okay. Yeah, I get it. His ankle hurts, but it's not like he was on fire in the car or he was knocked unconscious or was, I get it. He's injured, but not that bad. Hopefully, hoping we'll find out when we hear. But he seemed to be okay. He gave a thumbs up when he was getting pulled out on the stretcher.
It's probably a lesson for him. I mean, if from now on, don't put your window net down. If he'd have left his window net up, there'd have been 10 people at that truck before they went to any of the ones on the bottom.
And at the end of the day, I get it. His ankle hurt and he was stuck, but he was fine. He didn't need to get out of the car quick. You know what I'm saying?
Right, getting out did solve nothing for him.
Exactly. It wasn't gonna, other than getting him unstuck. It wasn't gonna change anything. The damage was already done. It wasn't like he was bleeding profusely or something like that. So,
hopefully.
So I want to give a shout out to the track crew when all these other people are out there bashing them for doing their goddamn job. We want to talk about the Coke 600 at all? I don't have much to say about it. I know we missed 2 weeks here, so we wanted to touch on it. Denny Hamlin won. It seemed like to be a wreck fest. I didn't see very much of it other than highlights.
I think it sounded a lot of the Coke 600. You had to survive 600 miles, and good for them to just straight send it all the way through.
Yeah. It was good racing. It looked like.
How many cautions was there? It was a lot.
18? 18, I think.
See, I was at the night. We had that 22 cautions in 05. That was a long ass night. I was there.
I think the most viral thing there was the Cliff Daniels. The one of the greatest pep talks in NASCAR history,
Right.
to Kyle Larson. But it was I thought it was a great race. It was long, but I thought it was a great race. It was
Right.
just hard racing the entire time.
Yeah.
Right. Austin Dillon just trying to put his balls in the wheelbarrow there and
Yeah.
almost succeeded.
He
Maybe
went. I mean,
he realized he was in a wheelbarrow at the last minute and then wrecked everyone. But
he went from what, 8th to 2nd in 2 turns.
Was going for the lead. Yeah.
he had it cleared, or at least on the outside, or mostly cleared, and he moved up, I guess, to avoid Hamlin, and just the wrong move. What are you gonna do? It's good to see that race go well, though. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a long
That was another
race, so-
sellout, by the way.
Yeah.
and that's a long race, and it's hot. We know how hot it was down where we were, and they were in Charlotte, and it was probably hotter.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's all I had on that.
Yeah, that's all I got on that. Shouts out to Jeremy Zarfos, Alex Robinson, Ashton Crowder. I know you guys want to get on the podcast. We'll get you guys on one day. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for checking us out. Once we're getting back into a group here, we'll try
get
to
you back on once we're not trying to cram 3 weeks worth of life
Yeah.
into an episode,
Right.
guys.
Right.
Yeah, once
But I know announcers like to talk a lot.
yes.
So Alex and Crowder, we know you. We know you.
Yeah.
And Jeremy, we know Jeremy too. So you all in the same
You guys
boat.
all like to talk as much as we do, so
Got him.
we're gonna, probably try to get like a guest slot in the show here weekly, and we'll start getting you guys on. We guys all have a lot of interesting stories, a lot of great points of views, and we definitely want to get you guys on there. But we really respect you guys for checking us out, man.
100%.
So yeah, Coke 600. Let's go into dirt. Let's go. Let's just start with this past weekend before we go back to our endeavors. I really don't even want to talk about this. Danny
What's it?
Dietrich.
Is Smeal here?
No, Smeal's not here. I don't
Is he
think
watching? We're gonna find out.
so. Danny Dietrich wins the inaugural Steve Smith Memorial Race at Lincoln, $19,000. He also won Friday at Williams Grove. Just wasn't a great week.
It was really just a bad time, honestly.
It was honestly a bad
I'm kind
time.
of really. It's a sad time. My friend actually, true story. My buddy texted me and Redneck Jesus yesterday and asked, "Does anyone else feel disgusted when Danny Dietrich wins?" And I'm like, "Yeah, actually, it was gross. So gross, I left and went home."
That's funny.
Neil, if you're out there,
FDS.
yes,
It's FDS. I mean, honestly, Danny has one of these runs every year where he wins. He'll rip off a couple in a couple weeks, and it's usually around this time of year. It's usually right in the beginning of the summer. We've had this argument with Smeal about why do we not like Danny Dietrich? Well, because because he'll complain about the same shit that he pulls on other people. Speaking of, I mean, after watching it later, he did give Macri some room, but
before we destroy him on that, let's go back to Friday night where I hate to say it, he ran it perfectly through lap traffic. So the lap cars at Williams Grove were absolutely atrocious. Not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
In his way, in everyone's way, the whole damn feature, which went green the checker. Macri ran him down. Brent Marks was coming. They were all in a hurry, and Dietrich. I mean, he figured it out faster. Other than that, one lap car got out. Once Danny got past him, pulled off the track. That was Lincoln, wasn't it? They were running together. Either way, Danny ran a perfect race Friday night through traffic. He made a hell of a move in the 3, slid 2 cars at once to get away from Brent Marks coming to the white. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I mean,
No FPS.
It's one of those things though where he will go on a run like this. That was a good win for him. I'm happy for him. We need strong us as Posse fans. We need strong teams here in PA to take on the big hitters when they come in. Keep that money local. It's what Macri has been doing. Anthony Macri I think he's at the top of the board when it comes to money made this
He
season.
should
And it's
still
all
be.
local. It's all local money. So, and he's more than anybody on the World of Outlaws. He won like 140,000. So whatever he won at Path. And he's gotten 2 second place finishes or whatever now, or third place finishes.
Like 127, still a stupid amount of money.
Yeah.
He's first
For beginning of June.
right, we didn't get to our
Wild.
big money here yet. So,
Well, we'll get more into Anthony Macri here in a little bit, but Anthony Macri did win Path Valley last night, so good for him. Alex Robinson just hit the nail on the head when going back to Danny Dietrich he'll still be in the LCQ when the Outlaws come, and that's where the frustration is. He has such a big vocal fan base, but then when the Outlaws come to town, I mean, a couple years ago, sure, when he won National Open, but that's years ago now.
We're talking.
That's 6 years ago.
I think it's fair that most Dietrich fans are Steeler fans too. They just live in the past, so
yes,
they just don't know how to let go. Right? That's what it is.
That's a good.
It all checks out because there's more to this, more layers that also fit the mold.
Yes,
but
yeah, we can sniff out a Danny Dietrich fan. We've been doing some experimenting at tracks, and before you even see a person's shirt, you can tell if they're a Dietrich fan or not. There's a couple telltale signs. So
I need to know. I need to know what these are.
I'll have to
you'll have to tell me.
Yeah, I don't want
to ruin it yet. It's only June, guys. We got time.
I don't want to offend any of our fans either. So, except for Smeal, because FDS. But, yeah, I want to give a shout out. AJ Flick, man. 2 out of the 5 Western Speed Week shows got rained out. The other 3, AJ Flick won all of them. And they had good car counts. They had about 35 cars every night. He won at Lernerville, which is kind of expected. That's his territory. But then he won Sharon, and then he won. Where do they run?
Tri-City up near Erie.
Tri-City,
Tri-City, mid-afternoon race yesterday.
Yeah, and he ends up winning the PA Speedway title, which is good for him. Hopefully, he could carry that momentum coming back to Port Royal. Port Royal only had 17 cars on Saturday, but there's 47 cars for the Steve Smith Memorial at Lincoln.
From the sea.
The feature didn't freaking start till like after 11:30.
Stevie Smith car here, Steve Smith Memorial. Go into that. That was wild. 47 sprint cars. Non-sanctioned, right? It was non-sanctioned. Is that correct? Just ignore Jeremy.
Jeremy said neck tattoos and child support. Those are 2 telltale signs of a Danny Dietrich fan. I will say that.
From what we did. And occasionally infield fighting.
Oh, if there's an infield fight happening, it's a Danny Dietrich fan. Especially if it's before hot laps.
I've seen it.
Especially if it's before hot laps.
And I've seen it 3 of the last 5 weeks, so it's basically a fact now. Oof.
This is no longer a hypothesis.
This is no. It's a. So Steve Smith Memorial.
It's so true.
I watched it on Flow Racing.
It's so true.
We just lost our host. All right, we lost our host. Thanks, Jeremy. You've killed him.
It's so true.
It's finally happened. Steve Smith Memorial, 47 sprint cars, USAC 360s. That was a decent feature.
Carmen Perigo, shout out.
The Perigos are really big in this show, as we will get back to. But
yes,
Danny Dietrich being Danny Dietrich again, and in my opinion, making sure Anthony Macri did not win that race.
Yeah, I know Macri made
maybe stepped on it.
He stepped on it a little bit, but the lap car Trey Hebner was just.
That's what I was talking about earlier.
I think that was the problem for Macri. Majority because Hibner was running low, then Macri went high to get around him, and then all of a sudden Hibner went high, and it held him up. Like I was saying during the race when we were watching it together, I'm like, Macri's he can't fuck around with this lap traffic. He's got to get around them, and he was a little patient with Hibner, and then when he changed his line, Hibner changed his line too, and I don't understand why, because it's not like he was battling another car, and that really held up Macri. That let Dietrich get to him. Dietrich did leave him more room after I went back and watched it later, but it was just more Macri jumping over the cushion. But
the angles, you can still see where it's gonna go.
Yeah, Dietrich could have left him more room. He did not need to make that move there. But he needed to make a move. I get it. They're all going to say, the Dietrich fans are going to say, hey, 19K on the line, blah, blah, blah. But didn't. If he just gives him a little bit more room, Macri doesn't get into the wall. I don't think he has to go over the cushion in order to avoid him.
They're worried about 19K, but when it comes to like the big 40, 50K or 75K races, we won't even see him. So it doesn't matter.
We won't even see him. He'll be trying to get out of the B main. So
he's down there fighting in the infield before hot.
In comparison to someone like Anthony Macri, who's going to be up there fighting for a win, because he proved it.
Hell, even Logan Wagner, he at least did that.
Yep.
One track wonder, as Dietrich fans say.
Hey, just to, I was looking it up, but do you know who's leading the points at Lincoln?
Danny Dietrich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did he take it over from
Gordon?
That. He's also leading at Williams Grove, in case you want to keep raining on our parade.
No, Raymer.
Well, he's gonna miss
Freddie
though.
Raymer's second.
Hey, he's gonna miss because he's going to do Ohio Speed Week. So
it's Williams Grove.
He's gonna miss 2 weeks.
Is Macri going with him?
No.
Why?
He's not going to Ohio Speed Week.
Why would Macri stay home? That's dumb.
Why would he go to Ohio?
Because he's gonna fucking take all their money. That's why.
No.
Dietrich's not gonna do it.
Dietrich might. He's run well in Ohio Speed Weeks.
So if he wins Ohio Speed Weeks,
he's gonna miss 2 Fridays. So
if he wins Ohio Speed Weeks, is he redeemed?
I don't even want to think about that.
But we can't not root for him. We're in a weird complex here. He's one of our guys.
I can not root for him.
We root for Smeal when he races.
Oh, Tyler Courtney. Sorry.
You're a hater.
Hayden Beerline said someone found a way to put a mirror in their car. And maybe.
Or a plow.
We're a little bit over an hour here. Can we time out for a quick break?
Yeah.
And then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about Weikert weekend. All right, guys. Thank you guys for hanging with us here. Here we are with the Jeremy Zarfos photo of the week. There's a lot to choose from, but we really wanted to choose this one this week. As you can see right here, that's Brett Perigo post-race Port Royal after the Sportsman feature, where he led most of the race. He led most of the race and finished second. The Turn2Terribles were out in full force. You could see me on the far left with the American flag cowboy hat on.
Is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
I didn't know that was you.
That's Griffey's hat over there.
That was Griffey's
Okay.
hat. Shouts out to Griffey for letting me borrow that hat.
I was gonna ask you all who that. I was like, whoever this person is on the left, I could be friends with.
Well,
it works out.
There you go.
I didn't know that it was Jimmy. I just saw the hat and I was like, I fucking love it.
And then
Right,
from left to right, you got Andrew May, you got Jaden Bigeman, you got Tyler File, and you got FDS there on the right. Fuck David Smeal. No, I'm kidding.
And
I love
Jimmy.
David Smeal. Shouts out.
And I'm on the left of Jimmy off screen.
Oh, yeah, he's a little. Chris was there. Big
I was
smile
there.
on Brett's face. It was a blast. I think I had more fun watching that race, cheering Brett on. And when he got out, he got interviewed on Flow Racing, and they made a comment about his big fan club, and then first people he thanked was the Turn2Terribles.
That's awesome.
So it was great. I got to get that clip up on the website or on the YouTube or something because it was
we'll get
great.
it on Instagram, or we'll do something
We
with
can
it.
make
for
it part of
sure.
the intro.
Yeah, we
do that.
absolutely should. Yes.
It was so cool though seeing him get out of the car because we were going ballistic, right? Like, and he got out of the car. And I think at first he was a little concerned for his health and well-being because he heard a bunch of lunatics. But once he kind of figured it out, just how much he let out, so cool. The whole thing was cool. Especially we talked to him on Monday, and he was like, he could see us in the car when he was driving around each time, seeing us just going nuts. That was cool. And then he watched the broadcast back and he saw the swarm run towards his car before they got pushed off.
It was after the Weichert feature, so they were still like interviewing and pushing Anthony Macri back to the pits. So they had all the cars for their feature sitting on the backstretch with their engines off. So we decided to run over to go say what's up to him because he started on the pole of the race. And just as we got to his car, they fired him up and they moved. But you could
Also
see us
waited
on
like
Flow
five-
Racing running
5
towards
minutes
him.
long. We were standing there for a long time, and then finally, I think Smeal or someone had a good idea. We should go see Brett. So we all took off running, but it was just like, if we would have thought it was like 2 minutes earlier, this would have been so much cooler.
But it was awesome. It was such a fun race. It was in the beginning. I was so hyped just watching him lead, and then after about 5 laps, I almost got like nervous parent vibes. I'm like, nah, now he can't lose.
Right.
Like he can't lose now. But Steve Wilbur, man, he's wily old vet, just really, really good in what he gets in, and
He
ends
lives,
up winning that race.
he lives about 10 blocks from me. I
Steve
passed his
Wilbur?
house. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, his whole so I actually went to school with his nephew, and the plumbing service that's on some of the cars and the trucks that he does. I don't know if it's him. I don't know quite where he lives, but one of them lives like 10 blocks away. I don't know if it's his brother Jeff or who. But yeah, I met one of the first race cars I ever sat in was Steve Wilbur's wing sportsman way back in the day with auto locator on it.
Yeah.
Like he used to actually work with my dad, or enough that we all knew him. He's a lunatic.
He was pretty cool. It was I know when he was in parked in Victory Lane. We were standing right there as well, and I was like, hey, at least somebody put the Weichert car in Victory Lane. It's just more of a shot at Danny Dietrich, but it was cool for him. I was a little mad, because I would much rather have seen Brett win, but it was still cool to see Steve.
It turned out, yeah, Steve. I mean, he's been running everything, right? He runs this.
He ran. I think
whatever
he ran Path Valley yesterday in a 410. I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure he probably had the 358 in there, but he ran Williams Grove on Friday night with the 360 for the USAC East Coast guys. Good for him to see. I think he said that was his first win at Port Royal in his career, and he's had a long career. Like since I was a kid, he's been racing.
Sportsmen don't really. I mean, what does he run there?
Right, I don't. Right, like I grew up. He was running a sportsman, a wing sportsman. So, kind of like Carmen Perigo was.
Mhm.
But still, it's kind of cool. Kind of cool to see that. Wish Brett would have won. That'd been
Yeah.
awesome. Probably would have burned the place down though.
Yeah, we would have burned it down. We were ready to burn
did
it down there.
anyway. We almost burned it down anyway. But if he would have won, there'd be no Port Royal. It'd been iRacing only.
But if you go back and you watch that broadcast and you hear a lot of screaming in the background when Brett's getting interviewed, that's us right there. We're screaming for him.
That's not 12-year-old
And
girls
by-
at an NSYNC concert.
well,
That's
no,
Turn to
no.
Terribles.
And when we say
It's
by
it's a bunch of fucking dudes acting like 12-year-old girls. At
and
NSYNC
when he
concert.
says us, the voice that is clearest about Perigo is definitely Jimmy's. The rest of us are just yelling nonsense. Jimmy kind of leads it, and we all fall in, which kind of mimics. You hear noise, but like you can hear Jimmy like Perigo.
It was awesome just watching him come around in the lead every lap was awesome. It was so cool to see. Congratulations to him. It was a hell of a run. Would have been nice to see him win, but second place, man, it was an awesome race. Let's get into talk about the rest of Weikert weekend. Chris and I were there, camped all weekend.
Started the cornhole tournament. You want to talk about the cornhole
I
tournament?
haven't heard the results of this. I was wondering
We,
about this.
We should.
We lost to two women who were very, very good. One had a newborn child.
She was very nice.
Was she?
No, they were very nice. They were very nice.
Was she
I don't know.
holding the newborn child and being
No,
good
it
at
was sitting
cornhole?
behind us in a little
honest,
rocker.
Well,
I'm not even lying. It was.
No, the girl that I was competing against, her newborn child, I think, was behind you and her teammate. So I'm not really sure how that works.
Okay, yeah, but either
even
way,
still, she could have been holding that newborn child and probably still beat us. To be
still
honest,
could have beat us. We didn't get swept. We didn't.
her
we scored
newborn
points.
child probably would have beat us.
Yes, I probably would have been better if I was throwing her newborn child instead of the bags.
Oh, it got worse. It got worse because like we got beat by a 10-year-old
It was
punk.
double
after that,
elimination.
which we were hoping it wasn't because that's when we got smoked. Jimmy goes, we're done, right?" He goes, "No, it's double." Like fuck.
So
Like,
we had to
damn
wait, and we lost to a nice gentleman and his nice son, who was
Very
about 10
polite.
years old, who absolutely destroyed us.
Yeah, I can tell you this. This kid's been breaking bushes since he was in the womb. He was bad at. Like, no, I wouldn't fight this kid. Walks over. He's telling his dad to keep trying. Like this kid was.
Yeah, he was telling
He was no
us,
joke.
You're good.
You're good, man. Just keep throwing.
And they're
Like,
all playing the strategy shit, like block this. I'm like, bro, you don't need to worry about any of that with us, bro. Like,
dude, all we do
are
is we go
not
straight
good.
holes, bro. We're
I can't
holes
even
or
hit the
nose.
board half the time.
It's holes or nose. So this punk kid.
That was definitely the best set of cornhole boards and bags I ever played with, though. So shouts out to them.
Pretty fun.
Shouts out to the Mid-Penn cornhole place.
Cornhole
That ran the
place.
tournament.
Place.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And shouts out to Port Royal for putting it on. Even though we got our asses kicked, we still had a blast. It was a good way to kick the weekend off for sure.
And what we knew is we left there. We're like, we're gonna go back to our porch and beat up on our own monkeys.
Yes,
which is what we did.
Which is what we did. We destroyed everybody who came on
That's
our.
a real posse thing to say, but we're
Yeah.
doing it. That's what happened.
We went back on our own porch.
Yeah.
So
Not
yeah.
Saturday.
So
Saturday
yeah,
was good.
Saturday, right? Yeah. So, man, Saturday's race, bro. That was so good. It was Anthony Macri ended up getting the win, but him and Lance DeWeese had a battle. It was a really good race. Track was racy. Not much more to say there. Just Anthony Macri doing Anthony Macri things. Got the pass on the last lap, coming out of the last corner. Him and Lance are drag racing to the line. Just another prototypical great Port Royal race. I mean, just that place just knows how to put good races on most of the time.
Important announcement about Port Royal. You guys want to make?
Oh, not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Easy, soft
Okay.
tease,
My bad.
soft tease. Sunday
There's
then was
fun coming.
the Weikert. Sunday
Yeah.
we tailgated pretty hardy. Decent.
We paid a heavy price for Sunday.
You did.
No,
I was
we
good.
all did.
Well.
That's right. You spent all
we
morning putting
decided to get
sunscreen on.
so it was like 90
No,
degrees that day.
You
We decided to
decided.
get a football.
No, you're missing the fact the fatal flaw was you spent all morning lathering up in sunscreen while
Yes.
I decided to go not do that.
I lathered up like a little bitch. And you know
And
what?
I paid the
Zero
price like a
sunburn,
little
but
bitch. I actually, my back of my leg, it's peeling now, finally, a week later. So it's
the
fine.
worst part about doing the sunscreen was it kept getting in my eyes. It kept fucking with my eyes. But I'd rather that than sunburn, so sucks to be you, bro.
I mean, on the scale of things that happened that day, that was the worst.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
we got on TV. My dog got on TV.
Shady? Shady on TV?
Shady got on TV.
Don't talk about Jaden like that.
Jaden and Tyler File both got on TV as well. We were next to they had a tailgate contest, best tailgate contest. Steve Post, shouts out to Steve Post driving around. Gave me some donuts in the morning. And then he was over there partying with, they had like a luau themed tailgate. They won the best tailgate contest, and we got a bunch of Jello shots, and we got on TV because we were right next to it, kind of by association. I'm not going to answer that question.
What's the question? My card's on the Facebook post. Famous.
Is
and
it?
My cornhole boards. Fun fact.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're all
so
over.
We're all famous.
Terribles are everywhere.
The Terribles were everywhere that weekend. Going back to the cornhole tournament, everybody just entered with their name, like Billy and Bob.
This was the worst part
and
for the brand. This was definitely not.
There's like 40
brand.
teams. They all were just like two first names,
Right.
and then
Turn2Terribles.
Turn2Terribles.
And then that one team that copied us, those Twisted Metal.
Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah, they're not even a real team.
They probably won.
They probably
They probably
had jerseys.
They probably had.
and
I was
everything.
say they had
Just got,
jerseys and everything.
Yeah,
They had gloves, dude. They didn't know you didn't know you could play cornhole with gloves. What is this? I thought you were supposed to
Seems
get
like an
drunk and throw
unfair
bags in the
advantage.
hole.
Right.
But yeah, Sunday was awesome. Weichert again, Anthony Macri, Big Balls McGee, just out there sweeping. He is just on fire. Brent Marks was chasing him down. Sunday's race wasn't as good as Saturday's race, but it was still pretty good. Very racy. Yeah, shouts out to Anthony Macri.
And it wasn't as good because we were mostly like get the hell going so we can get Brett Perigo back on the track.
Yeah, then Brett closed it out. We burnt it down.
And then we had the makeup feature.
Oh yeah, we had the makeup feature. After that, that was kind of cool. Walked the pits a little bit.
Logan Wagner wins the makeup feature.
Yes, he did.
A bunch of guys got some tires that they should probably sell now. Not my tire, but the other guys.
I think what was it, Tyler and Smeal? I think they were carrying all the used tires out of the pits. It was a great weekend. It was fun. Even after we did have when we went back to our campsite, it was like 1:00 in the morning at that point, and the security guard was trying to tase. He wanted to test his taser out on Chris.
I didn't even do anything. I was hanging out with Jimmy and his dad. We're being polite individuals.
He just pulls it out and he's like,
he goes, "I want to use this." He goes, "You want to try it?"
I'm like, to use this. This thing's got a 25-foot range. I'll give you a head start.
And he goes,
like,
can I do it? I'm like, are you serious right now? Absolutely not. That's not fair.
Cool dude, but it was like 100% mall cop vibes, man. Like he was just itching.
He definitely pointed it. It was definitely a red light. I was sitting at a barrel of a taser. I'm like, bro, Jaden's ankles are in my pockets. I can't run that fast anymore.
Yeah, I was dying on Sunday. We decided to play some football. And, I'm trying to cover Jaden, who's about 100 pounds lighter than me and 10 years younger and more than that. And hey, I locked his ass down, but I paid the price. I paid the price. I was dying. I was laying down for like an hour after that. But
I think the funniest part was you were playing safety. Jaden was trying to lock me down. Smeal was my quarterback. He's a terrible quarterback, just like a Steelers fan would be. Yeah. And I look at Jaden. He goes, "I'm gonna lock you down." I say, "Jaden, I'm gonna break your ankles," and then do some shit. Jaden hits the deck. And I said, I'm going to break your ankles and run past Jimmy. I did both of those things, and then Smeal missed the throw. It was an easy throw. All you do was put up there. I was actually picking my scabs from trying to save that touchdown. Typical Steelers quarterback can't make a good throw. Future fans, man.
It was a fun weekend. I'm really looking forward to. That's just a preview, I think, of what Pocono is going to be like. We had a good crew. We had a really good crew down in Turn 2. We were really living up to the name, Turn2Terribles. Got a lot of shouts out. People know what it is now. You know what I mean? We're just there to have a lot of fun and cheer on our guys.
Andrew May.
Yeah, and
we had a George Wood. I know he doesn't want to associate with the Terribles, but he's one.
Jeremy Zarfos, Austin Griffey.
Griffey's probably peak terrible.
Yeah, wait till
we had Grandma Griffey there.
We had Grandma Griffey.
Grandma Griffey was gonna fight a mofo.
Who else? I don't know. There was a couple. There's a lot of people that just kept swinging through. It's awesome. That's the type of that's what we're here for.
It's just, right.
Did y'all have a Wild Menzies? Did he?
Oh, that's coming. That's in October. Wild Menzies in October.
I remember hearing something about Menzies.
Oh, we were giving him a bunch of nonsense for not coming, but I mean, he also lives in Virginia, so yeah, I don't think he's ready. He's better start prepping. I don't think
he's ready. National Open weekend is. Laker weekend was very tame compared to what Pocono and what National Open weekend are.
Daniel Menzies, if you're out there listening, you better get to the rowdiest saloons possible because the National Open is a different animal. And I say this because, like, Jimmy, we National Open last year at first.
Fellow podcaster Daniel Menzies, shouts out to him.
Him and Tyler Icey, right?
Tyler Icey,
RJI Media, those guys in the final corner. Check them out. But we go back to the National Open last year. After that first night, we went to bed early because we were like good adults back then.
I mean, it was still like 12:30, but yeah, that was early.
Right. Everyone else was just getting started. We're like, yeah, we're going to bed. And we woke up that next morning, and you thought a war happened. Like
just bodies laying, just bodies
everywhere. We found a broken cell phone. There was liquor bottles, smoldering piles of beer cans. Yeah. It was like literal destruction had happened in the wee hours in the morning. Versus Port Royal, you wake up and it's like, wow, there's people walking their dogs and taking dogs. And
Port Royal.
Trash anywhere. Like, it was like the most glorious camping area ever.
Yeah, but that's why we don't take the dogs to Williams Grove. We'll take the dogs to Port Royal, but we won't take the dogs to Pocono or Williams Grove because it's going to be a different animal there.
Like even
plus it's going to be too hot at Pocono, but
even like night 2 National Open, I know Jimmy, you and
R.I.P.
wrist.
R.I.P.
Didn't see for the sake of everything on Sunday morning after National Open. Port Royal was a million times better. Like if we go back to like the Gettysburg battle, night 2 of the National Open last year was like the final day of Gettysburg. Everything was destruction. Porta potties were destroyed. It was like, what the hell happened last night?
I don't think they had porta potties back in Gettysburg, but
no, but you get my point. It was destruction. It was like, get the hell out of here. Like you didn't want to go in there. You went in, it's overflowing. Port Royal would never be that way. That's why it's a speed palace.
That's fair. Shouts out to Port Royal. They left the actual good bathrooms down at the track open. That was the best thing because I cannot do a number 2 in a porta potty. Yeah, I can't do it, man. I can't not unless I have to I'd honestly rather just pop a squat next to a tree than go in a porta potty.
Why?
Because of the smell and the coming up, you know.
No, I don't know. It's like shitting in the woods is not a good time.
You don't have to worry about backsplash in the woods though.
Exactly.
Like that's a huge fear I have.
Yeah, exactly. That's 100%. And you don't have the smell. You just walk away from it. We have our own little porta potty set up. We have a little bucket with a seat, and we have a little pop-up tent
over only for one.
Females only.
You're not allowed to do that.
And number 1 only.
You're not allowed to do that. Like,
you can't poop in that.
I don't love porta potties, but I'm not gonna say I'm gonna go squat on the Stremmy's tree.
You apparently love porta potties because you had to go take a trip.
Responsible adult to go piss in a porta potty instead of using my car, and I come out of it walking like a adult on the road, and I see 6 dudes calling my names.
An adult in socks.
I hadn't worn shoes all day.
Only socks, but you had socks on.
Right. They're already dirty. What the hell does it matter?
Okay, in a porta potty.
In a porta potty
to get away. I wasn't just gonna piss like a fucking heathen. And instead, I come out and there's like 6 posse dudes calling my name, like Titanic with their damn light.
But you
go
into a porta potty without shoes on, like a heathen.
Yes, and walked around gravel roads.
It's building toughness on my feet, bro. That's how I get irate faster.
Take your socks off.
Yeah, exactly.
I ran all day. They were already
Why were you
sunburned
running around in socks?
because I was drunk.
Yes. At one point on Saturday, so my girlfriend and his girlfriend did not go into the race.
I got kidnapped.
You
Ish.
did not get kidnapped.
I got
He had to
kinda
go back. We get
cigarette.
into the track Saturday night. He's like, "Shit, I left my cigarettes and my chew back at
Smoking
the."
is bad, kids. Do
Yes.
not go back to your campsite for
I
cigarettes.
left
for
it
any
at the
reason.
campsite, so I got to go back to
Pull
the
in the truck in the
campsite.
car.
That was before hot laps. He did not make it back until the B main. he just stayed at the campsite.
We had a
bullshitting.
very actual great conversation,
I'm sure it was. I'm
but
sure it was.
and then I came back and ate. Even
Yeah.
still, Sunday night, different animal. I got
Same.
search partied, got fucking put on a leash. It was a bad time. Okay,
Yeah, you were about to get tased by the cop.
that was a joke.
rent-a-cop.
That also didn't even happen. Jimmy's exaggerating.
You were trying to start a fight over at the other party.
Yeah, me, Jeremy, and your girlfriend did in fact leave to go start a fight. That happened.
Yep. No
We
fights
planned
happened.
it for 3 days. Right. We were never. Do we look? Do we look like we start a fight and we die?
I don't know. They'd
Alright.
be like, this motherfucker has been wearing the same socks for 3 days. Don't fuck with him.
Well, why is this motherfucker wearing socks to begin with?
Right. At least you should have just taken one off. So then they'd be like, there's a story there.
He had his Crocs. He could have just He just could have just free balled it in his Crocs. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I did
Nah,
the
he had
racetrack.
to wear socks.
Hey, it's fine. It's fine. Either way, no one got arrested. No fights happened. No one died.
We were all very responsible, and we had a very responsible time.
And nothing compared to other things happening out there. We were fine.
It was definitely peak Turn2Terribles. I'm glad everybody came out. It was a lot of fun. Get into a little bit of iRacing here, guys. We got a big update coming tomorrow.
Does it have anything to do with a Weiker type racetrack?
Port Royal, baby.
Did Josh try to hint at this thing earlier?
Port Royal's coming tomorrow. So excited. It's
What
been a long
happened
time
if it doesn't
coming.
download? It's gonna be like $25.
There's a lot of other updates though coming up. Also, there's a new damage model and some updates to the next gen car. They're gonna
I'm so excited
have
for
restart
that.
zones.
So excited for the new damage model because that's the
Yeah.
one thing that's never changed from the beginning. Just the damage model in the next gen is terrible.
Yeah,
I cannot wait for that. And it's so inconsistent. I mean, sometimes you just barely scrape the wall with your back fender, and it'll be 27 seconds of damage or something.
And then you're down power all race for some reason. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens there. I'm really, but the main thing for us is Port Royal. I think we're so excited. That's probably going to be. We're going to run that thing to death.
Most excited about because I don't think this is. I said this. I don't think even the racing on it is what we're all so excited about.
What do you mean?
Well, George already said that his favorite part is to play his VR. I want to go sit in his spot in the bleachers.
Yes,
I think
they have
most
to push truck corgi.
right. That's
if you don't know this about Port Royal,
you need the corgi. It's the greatest dog in
racing
history.
There's a Twitter account. His name's Zeus. He's a little corgi. He hangs out on the back of a push truck at Port Royal. He's got a Twitter following. He is
the baddest dog in America.
Me and Kim always used to yell "potato dog" at him because he looks like a little baked potato. But now he's the push truck corgi.
So they have a platform in the back window. Josh is like, "What the hell are they talking about?" Like, there's a little the old F-150s or whatever trucks have the sliding window. It's open. He runs in and out of the truck on this little platform in the back. He just rides on it as they push it and just. For some reason, after the Brent Marks thing, he started getting around the Turn2Terribles and running in the trucks. I'm a little offended, but it's fine. It's fine.
So, but he'll be Dog's gonna be in iRacing, which I think is one of the coolest things. I think there's gonna be a lot of little nuggets there that
we need to go find.
As people who go to Port Royal, will find pretty cool.
This
Jimmy,
shows
can you confirm. Go ahead, Josh.
I didn't even know. I've never paid attention. I didn't know they had push. They had push trucks in iRacing?
I'm guessing it's just a random truck that's just sitting somewhere with a dog on the back.
Okay.
If I was gonna guess.
So,
I was sitting here this whole time. I'm like,
that would be cool though.
What have I been racing? Because I've never had a push truck. I was like,
You're racing sportsmen's, bro.
That is something though I would like to see someday in iRacing would be a push truck. an option to have it at least.
I haven't read the restart zone. Is that going to apply to officials? Are they going to actually have?
I think so. I think they're it sounds experimental, so I don't know how
That's
far
huge.
they're going with it, but that's big. Yeah. I
That's-
don't know how they're gonna. I don't know how it's gonna.
Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna tell you when to go and when not to go.
Yeah.
Well, what it's going to stop is the people that late in the run when everybody's tires are gone, whoever's running first, as soon as the pace car pulls off, just fucking
They
takes
go.
off, and you can't catch them. Nobody can do anything about it. So it at least stops that from happening.
Aiden Beerline says the dog is on top of the equipment. That's for track work on the inside of the.
All I know
Sure.
is, I mean, George Wood, if you're out there, you promise we're gonna find Jimmy in his spot.
You're gonna
And
find me in turn 2 next to the fence.
We're finding whoever cartoon character is there, and we're putting them in a 3Z hat and a Lance Sweet shirt.
That's
That's
that'll
how
be
it's
me.
gonna go. With a
That's
red
basically
chair,
me.
with a bunch of taped up caution tape everywhere in case he's late.
I can't wait for it. The restart zones are going to be cool. There's a couple other things. I think they're adding some AI stuff and all that. So this is going to be a big update. Probably one of the biggest ones they've had. There's also Fuji's coming, and also I can't remember the other track.
Is it Melbourne?
Yeah, I think it's Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Australia, yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff for everybody, but we've been waiting for this Port Royal day since we learned that when Port Royal posted the pictures that they were scanning the track almost 2 years ago now, right? Like a year and a half ago.
Not even. It was
I guess a year ago.
I don't think it was,
No,
even
it had
ago.
been
It was
more than
over
that.
the winter months. It was like right after. I don't even think it's been like 8 months. It was like right after the 50.
No, it was more. It was. I don't know.
Aiden to know.
Either way,
Expert.
we've been very, very excited about it as soon as we found out that it was going to happen. Definitely one of the most.
You're right. It's a year and a half because we thought it was going to drop for some reason at the Tusky last year.
Yeah.
I
So
don't like saying Jimmy's right. It makes me mad.
Is there anything they could screw up on and mess up?
Yeah.
Oh,
not
absolutely.
letting Jimmy in turn 2.
they could mess up if it becomes one thing, and I didn't notice it until we walked the track a little bit. We just walked across to the pits last week. I never realized how tight 3 and 4 actually was, and so looking at the videos, it looks like they got it down. I mean, obviously they're scanning the track.
And so they're going to get it right.
I think if it's because even when that track is tacky, it blows off quick. If they don't get the
Moisture levels or whatever.
the track progression
Right.
as it burns off, right? I mean, I know it's weather conditions and shit too, but you know, if it becomes a tacky track, you're running nothing but the bottom too often, then that could fuck it up. But I don't know.
The question here, and I don't have the answer, because to me it feels very similar to Knoxville, at least from like a sky view. Does Knoxville have more or less banking?
Oh, much less.
I didn't realize how much banking Port had
Yeah,
until I was like wandering right in there, like, holy hell, this is like
I had a
more
hard
than
time
Smoke
walking up
has.
the track. You know,
Right,
I didn't.
well-
I never realized how much banking
Right.
there.
Like, when
I mean,
walk-
it always feels because we're down in the
Right.
infield. It does always feel like it's a wall in front,
Right.
and you
like,
know.
especially
but
1 and 2, it's like almost like a progressive type thing. It's like a cliff up to the top.
it is. It's
But
progressive.
I didn't
banking.
realize that when I went into 3 and 4 on Sunday and was looking in when it was all like tore up because I could walk right into the track. I'm like, damn, that's like you said, tighter, but like much more banking than I realized. Even walking Williams Grove, I don't think it has to have more Williams Grove, even, right? Like that's
Oh, absolutely.
significant banking,
That-
and I'm like,
Port Royal is one of the most bank tracks that you'll find. I mean,
because my fear was that we'd be driving it a lot like Knoxville.
no,
I don't think so. I've never
I
been to
think-
Knoxville, so
I kept saying Lanier for a reason. I think it's going to be a lot like Lanier because of the banking. It's just going to be a lot bigger. That or Charlotte. Charlotte's probably actually the most comparable.
I'm excited because
Charlotte, yeah.
I've been running that and I love that track.
Charlotte's awesome. I think
Josh,
Port Royal.
if you don't like Port Royal, we're gonna have to fight.
PA Posse League's going to be running. We're going to start running a full Port Royal season. We'll make up some races in the winter, but we're going to pick up right where they are right now. George got the whole schedule up on Sundays, so I'm excited for that.
It's just Port Royal.
Just the Port Royal Track Championship. Yep, we still got our normal Tuesday nights, and then Sunday nights. Now we're going to be running Port Royal. So
I'm in.
That's what I'm saying. That's
be awesome.
I'm going to be there as many as I can. It's so I work stuff to do, but hey, let's do it. I mean, anytime we can have give George Wood credit for what he does with the iRacing PA Posse, I think we need to do that.
Yeah,
he's probably caught like all the fish in the lake. They told me when he caught his limit, his battery died. Doesn't matter. He can do all that. Tie all the flies. Dude's an animal.
He does so much to try to make the events close to what they are in real life, to make it a real simulation feel and kind of to get as close as you can to it by doing a lot of cool things. And he pays out of his own pocket. I mean, he pays out probably $2,000 a year almost.
And I think that league, I think it's not even a secret, right, Jimmy? Like, you and I met each other through that league, and a lot of those guys, like the damn Turn2Terribles, for the most part, outside of Josh, have met through that league, and everyone that associates is just that league has so much to do with why I like iRacing and why I'm still so into racing. And George cultivates a culture there that he needs as many shout-outs as we can give him. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. I didn't know that. I'm excited about that. I'll do that in a heartbeat because I can get good at one track and at least learn how to run it decently and keep up with everybody.
Pretty much most of the people in the league are looking at like just running that shit nonstop for like the first week, probably.
I love how Josh just disrespects my porch. You go to Williams Grove, bro. What the hell?
It's not Port Royal, man.
I understand that, but my porch.
Well, but
you're really wearing a porch sitter shirt, are you not, Jimmy Barr?
He's not a porch sitter. He's a cherry picker. Get it right.
Is that a cherry picker shirt though?
No, it's not.
Is it a porch sitter shirt?
No.
Well, Carter has a porch sitter.
It's just a regular Lance Stewie shirt.
Porch
sitter. Yeah, you all don't run a season championship or a track championship at Williams Grove.
We do, but we alternate it with Lernerville every Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Can we just? I want to fight George.
Don't say get rid of Lernerville.
I didn't say get rid of Lernerville. Let's flop Port and Lernerville. Let's alternate Williams Grove and Port and Lernerville on Sundays.
No,
that's not fair to everyone else.
Yeah,
I like Lernerville. I'm actually better at Lernerville than Williams Grove.
I like Lernerville too.
I like all of them.
Actually, I think Port might be a lot like Lernerville, just with
some
longer straights and a wall.
That wall changes everything, man.
Yeah, and I'm a little concerned just because looking in the patch update, they're talking about the way the tires and something with the collision shit with how you said to stop wall riding. I just hope I'm hoping that going back to what can they fuck up with the track. If it doesn't, you see cars
Macri hit the banging.
Yeah, they bang off those boards all the time, no problem. They're gonna have to make sure that the cushion is right, that you could ride up there without killing your car if you bang into the guardrail.
I think the wall riding thing is more of a fended car thing. Like, you can do it in a sprint car, but you have to be, a damn good at it to not break your car.
Yeah,
I know it's huge in trucks. I know trucks were.
Oh yeah, you can.
Yeah,
but even still, you accrue damage, so you have to kind of be smart with it. I don't know. I love it. More racing, the better.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this update. Even outside of out of Port Royal, I think there's a lot of good things coming. So I'm excited.
Section stuff. I love new damage models. I want to see chaos. So.
All right, before we go here, let's take a preview here of the next week here. The World of Outlaws go to Knoxville. They do a double duty there. That'll be cool. And then Ohio, we talked a little bit about before. Ohio Speed Week starts on Friday. Be cool to see. Usually Ohio Speed Weeks, man. It's what I wish PA Speed Weeks would be at times. Because they'll get 45, 50 cars every night the entire week. I think part of that is because it's sanctioned by the All-Stars. I think that really helps. PA has a good speed week. It's really awesome, but you end up getting towards the end of the week when it comes down to Selinsgrove, and you end up getting only like 25 cars, maybe.
Well,
So-
for the Ohio ones, do a lot of the West guys come to the Ohio ones? Like a lot of
Well,
the
you-
Midwest guys.
Western
And,
PA.
You have them
yeah,
from all
you gotta get
over.
from both sides.
I was say
Usually
Ohio just
Rico
seems
April
more
run the whole thing, and because it is All-Star sanctioned, you're guaranteed those All-Star cars every night.
Right.
Yeah, it's not that way in PA. PA is completely self-run.
The problem, so like you said about Selinsgrove, like the Lincoln shows, I don't know if they're show points or track points. I think it's track points if it's on the night of the regular show points otherwise. I would need someone smarter. So
Yeah.
like Lincoln and Port and Williams Grove get 2 dates. Williams Grove both fall on a Friday, which is their regular night.
Mm-hmm.
So you get those followings. The weird nights are like Hagerstown.
Yeah.
No one
Hey.
cares unless you're running for money. Selinsgrove, same way. Baps is in there. Is that it? Did I miss one?
Selinsgrove, Hagerstown, Grandview.
Oh yeah, Grandview. Ryan Broderick territory. Absolutely not.
But Ohio Speed Week. Ohio has a lot of. I really like Ohio tracks. I think they're really cool. They can put on some good racing. But goddamn, dude, I don't know if it's track prep or just the dirt, but they are dusty and they have a tendency to rubber down. So if they don't get it right,
I watched a little bit of Ohio sprint car racing this weekend. I had to go check out Atomic. I had to check out Atomic. I watched their races on Saturday night, I think.
Yeah, yep.
I watched that.
That was a good race.
That was cool. That's a good track. Put on a good race.
Ohio, I definitely will tip the cap to Ohio. They have a lot of really good tracks. It's just the dust. It's just a dust bowl there all the time.
Can we just point out that the OOF fan skipped watching him running a 410 to watch Ohio?
Yeah, Oof was in the Steve Smith Memorial race. I was surprised that he was in the 410. Yeah.
Huh.
Max.
I don't think he made the feature.
Oof.
Oof.
Nailed it.
That was pretty cool to see. And then NASCAR Xfinity is off this week. They'll come back to Nashville in 2 weeks. But you got Cups and Trucks both going to Sonoma. The first of 2 road courses are going to race here in a couple of weeks.
Not a fan this week.
I'm
not a Sonoma fan.
Me neither.
Sonoma, man. What's wrong with Sonoma? You bunch of haters.
I'm not.
Jimmy.
Favorite road course.
I'm like Jimmy. I like the short, faster road courses.
This is one. It's under 2 miles.
But it's not a high speed. I mean, this got. I don't
Real
like
technical. No, you're right.
Yeah, I don't like Sonoma. Like, if it's gonna be big, at least have the Glen. Where you've got some high speed areas and stuff.
Well, they're not doing the carousel this year, so that's good.
That's why I don't. I'm not a huge fan of Coda. I don't like.
Yeah, Coda's like the exception for me. I think Coda puts on good racing, but it's just too long.
Yep.
Too long of a track. They could take the shortcut but then you cut out at Coda. They can take the shortcut and run the shorter version of the track, but then it takes that whole big long back straightaway out of it, and that's the best part.
And there's no high speed anymore. It's a slow.
Yeah,
then it's
all corners.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm just not a huge.
Minimal corners, like 10 corners max, 10 to 12 corners, some long straightaways, about 2 miles of track. Those are the perfect road courses. Even like Road America. Again, Road America is another one that's kind of a little bit bigger, but that one has the longer straightaways. Not a shit ton of corners.
Unpopular opinion.
But
I like Sonoma more than Watkins Glen as a driver. For me, driving.
I don't like either one.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Sonoma. I don't. The only time I've ever raced there in a Cup car was last year in SRL. But
you never played Xbox, bro? The downshift, bing, 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 bing.
Yeah, it's different on Xbox though.
But
that's an arcade game.
It could
it's
be
not
different now because the
same as driving a car either.
suspension's a little bit different in next gen, but the elevation changes in those uphill corners and downhill corners were a nightmare last year with the next gen. So
Yeah, absolutely.
maybe it'll be
Third
different.
next-gen period. I think it's gonna be interesting.
No, the
did-
best part of Sonoma is that turn. It was a turn 11 or whatever, the very sharp corner at the end.
Yeah.
That's like the best part of it.
Mm-mm.
Otherwise, it's just kind of.
I love was it? I guess they call it turn 2, even though there's a little kink on the front stretch. Uphill turn 2, left into 3, right into 4, down into that whatever the hell. Boom. Favorite section of the track. Make a bunch of time.
I'm not a huge fan of it. It's usually not that great of a race to watch.
You just hate
Usually kinda
Californians.
boring.
That's what I've heard.
Huh?
You just hate California. That's all I've learned.
That's not. I'm going there and
Right.
I'll be right around that area.
It's gonna change perspective.
I can agree
Yeah.
with that.
Maybe it's
anyway, though.
because Gordon won there so many times. Maybe that's why I'm
Yeah, that's probably
biased.
why you're biased.
It's confirmation bias
I was just thinking about it. You know, we might be excited for this new damage model, but what's the one big thing that is a huge problem in the next gen in real life, but isn't in iRacing? We might
Loose
be we might be pulling our hair out if we start breaking toes in races.
Yep. I think we
No.
do.
I think we
feel like
will, but we also will understand that that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I
Just
think.
more realistic,
Right.
would be.
Hey, toe links? You're talking about toe links?
Yeah.
We're gonna break toe links?
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean, that's the big thing then right now is that rear toe link, keeping those intact when they do hit the wall and stuff. I mean,
All right. Well, Smeal's career is over.
that's not staggering at 27. What's his number?
72 now. I
72.
think you keep switching it around. Either way, no. I think Sonoma NASCAR. I don't know. I think it's gonna be good
Who's
I think
your
that-
way too early pick?
to win.
Yeah.
Ooh, is Dinger on the list?
I was about to ask that. I was like, I mean, Dinger.
He's got to be running, right?
You would.
Xfinity's off.
Oh,
He's
my
got to be running.
colleague would be dumb to not put him
Yeah,
in
they
there.
would be dumb not to put him on the road.
Dinger. I mean, Larson, Elliott,
I could see Larson.
Kyle Busch.
Of course, I could say I could see Larson. Kyle Busch, no. Martin
I'm trying to
Truex Jr. I think this is a Martin Truex Jr. win.
He's won
He's
there
very
before.
good there. I'm gonna go
Could
with
be.
him or Sting gives a big fuck you to everybody.
I'm gonna throw
That would
one
be
even.
funny.
I'm gonna throw one even wilder out. Suarez.
There you
Ooh,
go.
I would love
I
to
like
see
it.
that.
I like it.
And get the cart kid a win.
Yeah, that would be.
I mean,
cool.
he's really good. Oh, Jeremy's
So
gonna put
far,
McDowell.
folks, with McDowell.
McDowell was really good yesterday for stretches. I
could
like
see
it.
that. McDowell's pretty decent on road courses.
He's McDriver for a
probably-
reason.
I don't think he's
Austin
going to be win
Cindric.
sneaky. I don't think he's going to be
Ooh.
winning.
Austin
sneaky.
Cindric, though.
You
You don't love it,
I can't.
but it's a valid.
I'm not sold on
concern.
Cindric. I think he's just
It's a road racer. I am.
sure, but not in the Cup Series. Not yet.
He
He's
was
not consistent enough in the Cup car.
not
He's
yet.
proven that so
No,
far.
I'm
this
saying-
year.
I'm just trying to throw out names. If I was gonna pick and say, I guess Allmendinga's a low hanging fruit. Take him out of it. Chase Briscoe. Let's
Maybe.
get some. Let's get some. He's wild. I would love for Tyler Reddick though.
It's probably going to be Chase Elliott.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to like not name Hendrick cars.
Well, when was the last time?
And Aiden Beerline just.
Well, he can't even spell it right. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2 T's.
Did they? When was the last
And
time
2
they ran
L's.
Sonoma?
this one,
This version of it?
Yeah.
2019.
Oh, really? Was that recent?
I thought
it was
no,
longer than
2020, 2020. What year are we in? I thought the last 2 years. Did I do carousels last 2 years?
that. Past couple years, yeah.
Right. So
I think you're right.
yeah,
2019.
2019. I mean, Hamlin's good there. Like, I'm trying to dodge the low hanging things. I think Briscoe showed a lot. I think Tyler Reddick, the pressure's on him. He's got the speed.
he's gotta
He was
win
good
now.
at Coda. Like, they keep winning. He's got to do something, which sucks.
Yeah, we're gonna have to next week. I'll have to try to get some graphic for you to. So you gotta start taking a look at points because it's gonna start getting. We're getting pretty close.
I was looking
Beginning
at it
of
tonight.
August.
We've got I think there's 6 2-time winners now.
Mm-hmm. And we only have about maybe 10 races or so until
A lot of
the
guys,
regular
I
season's
think,
over, which is crazy to think.
a
It's
lot of
about
guys
10 or
breathe a
12
sigh of
races.
relief. I think whenever it was Kyle Busch and Logano, because there was a stretch. Because I listened to MRN, and there was at one point only one guy in the top 10 had won that this season already. I'm like, oh man, that just keeps turning the screws on everyone else. Like if another first time winner. I guess when McDowell was leading, Eric Jones was up there.
All right.
R.I.P.
All right.
Hey,
Oh,
we're back.
back.
Sorry about that.
That's what happened when I type on Google and have a hotkey. All right.
Yeah.
So Suarez is a popular pick. I thought Allmendinger, Briscoe. I could see those guys. Chase Elliott.
It's gonna be a good race. I think road courses. The car was designed for road courses, or
Yeah.
based off a road course car. So I don't know. I think we've named everyone that could probably win.
Yeah.
So
And
who's
it's
gonna win?
be the one.
Well,
that,
you know what?
Yep.
William Byron, we didn't say anything about. No,
Do we have to.
I wouldn't.
don't see why.
Say I would him or Bowman. I wouldn't even.
Bowman was up there at Coda. I could see Bowman. Byron's a really talented guy.
Byron's sneaky.
But he's not. There's a reason why we haven't talked about him yet.
Yeah,
I think we
okay.
covered all the big 10 guys.
Let's just start
Justin
listing
Haley-
every
Justin
driver that's going to
Haley-
run the race. How about
Right. Then it's
how
gonna
about,
be the one we
BJ
forget.
McLeod. Let's
BJ
go.
McLeod? How about that?
Cody Ware is gonna win. But no, I mean, I think there's an argument. Justin Haley's pretty good, and in colleague racing, they're figuring things out too. Like Allmendinger's obviously gonna Allmendinger, but
Allmendinger's definitely a top 5.
Well, I mean, we also haven't even talked about Chastain, and now he
Chastain's
I
not
did
winning,
say-
buddy.
I-
He's
well,
getting
that's
punted to the
people
moon.
didn't think that at Coda either, and he didn't win it. I mean,
No, I
he
think
won it. However, but I mean,
the difference is
he was also
there's
up
gonna be a
front all
janky
day.
caution.
Oh yeah.
There's gonna be a janky caution, and he's getting sent to something. Somebody's gonna send him, like Hamlin. Somebody. But you to your point, yes, Chastain will probably be involved.
He'll be involved in something.
Yeah.
Something.
The 11 cars just gotta. Denny Hamlin's gotta learn how to shift with a sequential shifter. Because that's. I mean, he's
That's
blown.
going to be it.
He's
I
blown
ain't gonna do
two transmissions this year because
That's gonna
he
be-
doesn't know how to use a sequential.
Shouldn't
This
blow
might
two
be one of
trains.
the tracks where they shift the most.
Right,
at.
right. They're gonna be. I mean, they're gonna tear some shit up this weekend.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. It
Yeah.
should be interesting. I'm hoping it makes it a better race than what it usually is every year.
I
Usually,
think it'd
it's
be
one of
good.
the most boring races I think of the season.
That's not true,
Sometimes
but-
they prefer they have good finishes, but usually it's not that. I never find it to be good racing because there's nowhere to pass.
This is the one that's usually always like. This is the weekend that I'm like, all right, I'll do something with my wife on Sunday, and then I'll just watch the highlights. Like,
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I guess we lost Chris. I think it is about that time. A little bit over 2 hours here. Thank you guys so much for checking us out, hanging out with us tonight. Trying to cram a couple weeks here in the one episode. Try to catch up on some stuff. We really appreciate you guys Sorry for the delays and everything, and being kind of out of pocket a little bit. Just kind of had some other stuff going on, so we're gonna try to get back in the groove here. This was
Lots of racing going on, so you guys are doing a lot of ripping and running and getting to all the tracks and stuff. So
yep.
a lot to
Just
do.
keep an eye on all the socials for continuous updates for what we do. Chris does a really great job with all that, getting content at the track and everything. So, yeah, that's it. We will see you guys next Monday. We are the Turn2Terribles. Thanks for getting shitty with us. Have a good night.
Thank you.